moving on to bullet tip sorting. We've got a load of tips here from Berger. These are all 7mm 180 grain VLDs. They're all the same lot number, so that means that they came all off the same production line at the same time of manufacture off the same machine. So in theory they should be nearly all the same. If you're trying to scrape every ounce of accuracy and consistency out of your reloads, you can sort your individual bullets into lots of points, further narrow down the consistency of the weights. So I've got 1,000 here to do, and with a set of good quality scales that will go down to a couple of decimal places in grains, you can further batch your bullets, your bullet tips, for consistency. A lighter bullet at the same speed will always shoot higher than a heavier bullet at the same speed, so therefore you will open up elevation. So I know there won't be a great deal of difference, but it just helps to keep your loads more consistent and stop elevation during certain groups and shots that you're placing in strings. What you'd do is you'd sort these, which I'll show you in a minute. You'd sort these into probably 4 or 5 different points weight, i.e. 180.1, 180.2, 3, 4, all the way up to 181 grains, and you'd batch them in them bullets in them weight categories, and then shoot the 180.1s all together. And then if you as well show you in the DVD as well, if your case weighing as well, so you know what your volumetric measurements are of the case by weight, and the H2O test, which I'll show you to show you capacities. You're getting a more consistent load. That's what we're all striving for. You know, we're spending 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 pound on a gun, and possibly 2, 3, or 1 or 2,000 pound on a scope. Trying to get as best an accurate rifle as we can. This will help. Not everybody will do it, and a lot of people will say it's a waste of time. But if you can do it, and for the purposes of the DVD, I'm doing it just to show you what is involved. So I've got a set of AccuLab scales here. They're a new purchase to me, and I find them very good. Like all scales measuring small amounts, they can be prone to drafts and that, so you want to be in a nice draft-free environment. These will measure down to these are set up to measure grains, and there's obviously 7,000 grains in a pound, and these will measure down to 1/100th of a grain, so they're very, very accurate. So you can batch your bullet tips a lot easier. But anyway, I'll move on now, and I've got 100. I'll do 100 of these, and you can see what the weight differences is. It's only minute, but all them minutes, variances add up to the end product. That's what I'm trying to get at. So I'll move the camera and we'll crack on with that. Okay, what I've got here is set up. I'll do it as best I can. It's the lighting's not the best, but I'll try and do it as best I can. What I've got here is an unopened box of 180 grain 7mm match grade VLDs, lot number 2423, right? Okay, that's the same as the other 9 boxes, so there's 1,000 there, and I've got another 1,000 to do the same lot number later on. But for argument's sake, what I'm going to do is this 100 on take the time on camera and show you exactly what I'm doing. I've got the AccuLab scale set up. I've got the cover down and the bit of glass wind protector on as well, so they should stay nice and stable. Now they will fluctuate a little bit because that's just movements in the bench, but they're all nicely zeroed, and we'll see what we do. I've got a pen and paper here. Once I get going, what I'll do is I'll have little sections of groups of bullets, and I'll put a piece of paper underneath, sort of like 180.1, 180.2, 180.3 and 180.4. I wouldn't expect them to go any further in that, because these are fairly straight out of the factory. These are the consistency and the quality is very good, but I'm just, as I say, just further sorting them into sub groups of the same weight, just to keep the accuracy and the consistency is there. So anyway, I've got a pen ready. I'll open these up and we'll do them. I don't split the fingers in. There we go. See, they should be all the same weight, but you'll see in a minute how much they do vary. There's only points of a grain, but when we're striving, as I say. Anyway, so I've got my bits of paper ready. I'll do 180, dead, 181, 180.1, 180.2. I'll rip that piece in half. There shouldn't be too many up this other end. 180.3. So I'm expecting a lot of them to drop in the 180 to 181 region, as you can see that. So I'll put them ones. I'll put them up there. So you got to just keep track of what you're doing. I've got a rough idea what I'm doing. Right. If you can see the scales, I'll only do 20 or 30 on here with you, so you can see the idea, and then I'll cut back when I'm done. So it's 180.1. What I'm going to do is anything that's 180 to 180.9, I should put in this category. Anything from 180.1 to 180.19, I will put. You know, I'm not gonna worry about the hundreds, not at this moment in time. So that'll go there. Just keeping an eye on the scale. The scale will fluctuate all the time. Once you get a rhythm going, they're ever so easy to do. Another thing I should say, that scale is now set up and all level. There's a bubble on it, and that's all perfectly level. I will not touch that now until I'll leave it on. I'm not even going to go anywhere near it. I'll leave it on for a couple of days until I've done all the bullets. So, because I noticed I'd done some in another room the other night, and they weigh different in this room, so I don't know where that's coming from. But I'm going to leave them where they are now. And I will do all 1,000 over the next couple of days. So hopefully, in a sort of couple of days' time, I'll take a shot. Then should we have 1,000 nice sorted burger bullets. You can see. So there's only a tenth of grains difference, but when we're working up loads and that, we'll work up in a third of a grain with powder. So I mean, it all has effect. See, that's 180. Look at that. So far, these have been fairly consistent. So these two get the 180 and 180.1. I would imagine they'll have the bulk of the bullets. See, we're 180.2 there, so that will go up over in the 0.2 section, which you can't see on camera. It's a bit like watching paint dry, but it's not a job you have to do, as I said before, but it's a job I enjoy doing. So, and for the video, it'll take you roughly about quarter of an hour to do 100. You can put the radio on and just concentrate. As long as you keep an eye on what you're doing, and just keep plodding away at them. You could probably get 1,000 done in sort of 2 or 3 hours. Just make sure every now and again the scales come back to 0. Says a heavier one, you're going to get the odd one. This all help try and keep them groups as tight as possible. I mean, for smaller calibers and shorter ranges, it's not probably worth doing. But when you're shooting out beyond sort of 500-600 yards, this will all show in your spreads. Whoops. See, 180.12 seems to be the 5. I mean, you can plod away like this all day. Well, that's roughly 20 done now. I'll carry on later on and do these. One thing I will show you is once I've done them, you can either put them back in the yellow boxes like these, what they came in, or you can get some of these. They're ever so cheap as chips. What they are is like clear microwave containers, and you can write on them. There's one some I've done earlier. Don't know if you can see that. There you can see that. I've got Burger Target VLDs, what they are, the 7mm, lot number, but same lot as these, and they're 108.6 grains. Now these are the ones I weighed the other night in a different room, and these were 180.6. They're now weighing about 180.3. So this is why I'm not going to touch the scale anymore, because I'm getting inconsistency in moving the scale up, in setting it up over 2 or 3 places. So that's where it'll live now, and that's where it'll stay until I've finished. And then once I've finished, I'll put it out of the way because they're quite expensive. So you need to look after this sort of gear. But I will do my 1,000 bullets now, and the ones I've done the other night, I will need to do them again now, which is a bit of a pain in the backside. But as I say, I didn't do them here, and I want to do them here, so they're all consistent. And I'll end up with 1,000 bullets sorted into more detail on their weights. Okay, so that's what we're doing, and then after that, we'll move on to other processes and getting more uniform bullets. But as I say, at the moment I'll crack on with these, and I'll come back in a little while and show you a picture of what they're like, how many I've got in each when I've done. Okay. That's a laborious old job, but once that's done, you only got to do it once, and there are cold winter nights you can do it on. If you get set up, get your bullets and buy your ammo, you can get it done. I've had 2 exactly 180.0 grains. Only 2 out of 100 so far, and as I say, I've had 1 under, and the heaviest has been 180.28. So I mean, at the worst, they're 0.3 of a grain over what they said they are. So I mean, consistency-wise, you can't get no better than that, really. I mean, if you wanted to just shoot them as they were, you probably, well, 99.9% you'd be okay to shoot them. But I just wanted to do this for the video and just show what bullet segregation is, and how to sort them by weight. So I mean, that's the first 100 done. Okay guys, we've got 1,000 here sorted now, and I've got them in the containers. I'll keep hold of these now. The next job for these will be Metplat trimming and repointing